Imagine waking up to the acrid stench of smoke choking your throat. Your family heirloom home reduced to smoldering ruins. All because some power-drunk HOA busybody decided your solar panels were a community eyesore. But here's the twist that still makes me chuckle darkly. The guy they tried to burn out wasn't some pushover retiree. He was a federal judge who'd spent decades locking up crooks just like her. And oh boy, when the mask slipped and her empire of petty rules crumbled, the satisfaction was sweeter than watching a hypocrite trip over their own ego. In the sleepy suburbs of Willow Creek, Virginia, where manicured lawns stretched like green carpets under the relentless sun, lived Elias Hawthorne. At 62, Elias had traded his gavel for garden gloves after 25 years on the federal bench in D.C., where he'd built a reputation for dismantling corruption rings with the precision of a surgeon. His modest two-story colonial on Elmwood Lane had been in the family since the 60s, a quiet haven he was turning into an eco-friendly retreat. Rain barrels tucked neatly by the garage, native plants blooming in defiance of the neighborhood's cookie-cutter aesthetic. The air always carried that fresh-cut grass smell, mixed with the faint whiff of Elias's morning coffee brewing on the porch. But peace? That was an illusion in a place where the homeowners association ruled like a mini-dictatorship, enforcing standards that made the DMV look fun. Elias kept to himself at first, nodding politely at neighbors during evening walks, his sharp eyes missing nothing behind those wire-rimmed glasses. Rumors swirled about him from day one, whispers at mailbox clusters about the reclusive weirdo who didn't mow his lawn every Saturday like clockwork. He's probably hiding bodies in that backyard. One soccer mom joked over wine, but Elias just smiled inwardly, filing it away like evidence in a case file. He knew the type, small-town gossips feeding on boredom. What he didn't expect was how quickly it would escalate into a full-blown smear campaign, all orchestrated by the queen bee herself. Enter Vivian Caldwell, the HOA president who'd clawed her way to the top like a reality TV villain auditioning for more screen time. 48. Vivian was a former corporate HR drone turned neighborhood enforcer, her bob haircut as sharp as her tongue, always clad in pastel power suits that screamed, "I'm in charge here." She divorced her way into a hefty settlement and parlayed it into a side gig flipping houses. But her real passion was control. Community harmony is everything, she'd coo at meetings, her voice dripping with faux concern, while fining folks for holiday lights that were one shade too garish. Behind closed doors, though, she was a machine of manipulation, twisting bylaws to suit her whims and pocketing administrative fees that smelled fishier than week-old tuna. Vivian feared nothing more than losing her throne. After all, padded her resume for bigger real estate deals. The trouble started innocently enough, or so it seemed. One crisp autumn morning, Elias was out tending his vegetable patch when Vivian's Lexus purred up the driveway, her heels clicking like warning shots on the pavement. "Mr. Hawthorne, we need to talk about your installations," she said, her smile all teeth, eyeing the solar panels like they'd personally offended her. Elias straightened up, wiping dirt from his hands. "Morning, Ms. Caldwell. What seems to be the issue?" Her eyes narrowed. "These contraptions violate our aesthetic guidelines. They make the street look like a junkyard. For the good of the community, you understand." Elias chuckled softly, his voice calm as a still pond. "Appreciate the concern, but my property's grandfathered in. No HOA jurisdiction here. Got the deeds to prove it." Vivian's lips pursed into a thin line, her facade cracking just a hair. "We'll see about that. Standards must be upheld." She spun on her heel, leaving a trail of expensive perfume that clashed with the earthy scent of his garden. Elias watched her go, thinking, "Lady, you've got no idea who you're poking." That afternoon, the anonymous tips began rolling into the county office, complaints about unsightly structures and potential hazards. Inspectors showed up unannounced, poking around with clipboards, only to leave scratching their heads. "Everything's up to code, sir," one muttered, glancing at Vivian's car idling down the block. Elias said nothing, but he started documenting dates, times, license plates. Patience was his weapon. He'd seen enough courtroom dramas to know bullies always overplay their hand. Meanwhile, Vivian ramped up the whispers at the next HOA potluck. "That Hawthorne fellow? He's turning our beautiful suburb into a hippie commune." "What next? Windmills?" The crowd tittered nervously, but Elias's neighbor, old Mr. Jenkins, raised an eyebrow. "Seems harmless to me." Vivian shot him a look that could wilt flowers. "Harmless today, eyesore tomorrow. We protect property values here." Weeks ticked by, and the harassment morphed into something pettier. Elias's mailbox overflowed with violation notices for things like excessive foliage and non-conforming driveway gravel. He ignored them, knowing they held no legal weight, but the neighborhood buzz grew louder. "Heard he's a tax dodger," someone murmured at the grocery store. "Probably why he hides out." Elias overheard it all during his daily jogs, his face impassive, but inside, he was building a mental dossier. Vivian, sensing no pushback, grew bolder. At the monthly HOA meeting in the community center, where the air conditioner hummed like a judgmental whisper, she proposed a special assessment for neighborhood beautification, eyeing Elias's lot on the projected map. "Some properties are dragging us down," she said sweetly, her voice laced with venom. A few nods from her cronies, but Elias wasn't there. He preferred observing from afar, like a hawk circling prey. Then came the first real jab. Elias was hosting a small family barbecue for his daughter's birthday, laughs echoing from the backyard, the grill sizzling with burgers when a process server marched up, suit papers in hand. "Elias Hawthorne, you're being sued for environmental violations. Your water systems are allegedly contaminating the communal supply." The kids froze mid-game, burgers forgotten. Elias took the papers calmly. "Appreciate the delivery. Enjoy the party." The server shifted uncomfortably. "Just doing my job." As he left, Elias spotted Vivian's Lexus creeping by, her silhouette smug in the driver's seat. The lawsuit was bogus. Independent wells meant no shared supply, but it was designed to humiliate. By evening, local Facebook groups lit up. "Reclusive neighbor hoarding resources while we pay bills?" Elias read the posts, his jaw tight, but he didn't respond. Instead, he dug deeper, calling old contacts. Turns out, Vivian had a history. Slapped with ethics complaints in her HR days for bullying employees, and her real estate side hustle skirted lines with shady developers eyeing his land for condos. Elias filed a countersuit the next day, alleging slander and demanding HOA financial audits. "Let's see who's really draining resources," he muttered to himself, printing evidence of her fees vanishing into thin air. Vivian's response? A media blitz. Channel 4 ran a segment, Eco-Warrior or Eco-Menace. One man's green dream turns neighborhood nightmare. Vivian on camera. Batting lashes. "We're just upholding standards for everyone's benefit. It's about community, not conflict." Elias watched from his living room, smirking. "Oh, honey, You're preaching harmony while sharpening knives. He appeared in court pro se, his federal judge poised turning heads. The plaintiff's lawyer, a slick type named Harlan Voss, stammered when Elias dismantled their science with expert reports. Your Honor, this claim defies basic hydrology. The judge dismissed it with costs awarded to Elias. $12,000 straight from Vivian's pocket. In the parking lot, she cornered him by his truck. You think this ends here? I'll make sure you regret crossing me. This neighborhood needs order, not your chaos. Her voice shook with barely contained rage, nails digging into her palm. Elias just tipped his hat. Ma'am, order's coming. Might not be the kind you like. Humiliated, Vivian escalated to sabotage. One dawn, Elias flipped the light switch, nothing. Power cut, courtesy of an emergency HOA maintenance that convinced the utility company his lines were hazardous. He fixed it with a call. But then his driveway got repaired. Barricades blocking access for weeks. Trucks rumbling idly while workers sipped coffee. Urgent infrastructure, the county said. But Elias traced the order to Vivian's signature. No permits filed. Deliveries piled up at the road. He hiked groceries home like a pioneer. The EPA knock came next. Anonymous tip about panel runoff polluting groundwater. The inspector, Vivian's cousin, fidgeting in his badge. Family business. Ha! Elias quipped mildly. The guy flushed. Just routine. Elias documented it all. Cameras catching nighttime tampering. Emails linking back to her office. Criminals always leave breadcrumbs, he thought, echoing his old bench wisdom. Going public felt right. He tipped off a local reporter, Lena Ruiz, with a fat file, footage, forged orders, embezzled funds topping $150,000. Her exposé hit like a bomb. HOA tyrant, fines, fraud, and family favors. Vivian on defense at an emergency meeting. This is a smear by disgruntled elements, but attendance swelled. Residents fuming over her gnome bans and mailbox mandates. She waved a petition to retroactively annex Elias's property. 47 signatures, half forged. Elias called her bluff. Verify those, folks. Looks like my grandma's handwriting, and she's been dead 10 years. Laughter rippled. Vivian snapped. He's a threat to our values. Anti-authority radical. The irony hung heavy, her breaking laws while preaching order. Personal attacks followed. Rumors flew. Hawthorne's a disgraced Fed. Fleeing scandals. Flyers on cars. Criminal among us. Then threats to his daughter. Calls to her office. Your dad's crooked. Watch your back. Graffiti on his fence. Judge fraud. Get out. The neighborhood split. Newbies shunned him. Old guard baked pies in solidarity. Vivian's cost me contracts with her lies, one contractor grumbled. HOA meetings turned chaotic. Coffee spilling amid shouts. Elias fought back quietly. FBI pals tracing calls to her IP. His ace, retired accountant Mrs. Harlow. Boxes of HOA records showing fraud. Plus secret audio of Vivian's rants. That old fool's land is mine for the taking. Developers pay big. To counter the hermit label, Elias hosted block parties, grills firing, kids playing, stories swapping. Vivian's fines nearly bankrupted me over a bird feeder, one confessed. Attendance boomed, bonds forming against her divide and rule. Board members quit, yard signs sprouted, end HOA abuse. Vivian hired a PR shark. Hawthorne's abusing old ties to bully a dedicated leader. Flopped, FBI cleared him. Wiretaps catching her plotting. If we have to torch his eco-junk, so be it. Hilarity in her desperation. Shredding papers while whining to cronies. Her rock bottom? Hiring a shady ex-worker, Pete Grimes, for $8,000 to accidentally spark a fire during a blackout she arranged. Pete's wife tipped cops. Sting set. Elias evacuated. Cameras rolled as Pete doused the house. Flames roared. Neighborhood gaping in horror. Sirens wailing. Smoke billowing. Pete arrested mid-act. Singing like a canary. Payments. Plans. Vivian's blame game backup. She called news. Probably insurance scam. Hawthorne's unstable. Defamation gold. Outrage peaked. Funds poured in for Elias. Feds raided her empire. Embezzlement across states. Developer bribes. Council ties crumbled. Her cousin charged. The town hall climax. 500 packed in. Vivian prim in suit. Eyes darting. Elias entered to cheers. Took the mic. Time for truth. Pause. I'm federal judge Elias Hawthorne. Corruption buster for 25 years. Gasped. Evidence barrage. Recordings. Docs. Her thefts. Vivian. Your petty empire ends. Arson. 20 years federal. She erupted. He's corrupt. I'm the protector. You sheep. Escorted out shrieking. Indicted on 38 counts. 6 months on. Vivian got 12 years. No parole. $1.8 million restitution. Accomplices jailed. HOA reformed. Elias rebuilt greener. With community hub. Values rose. Foundation from recovered funds scholarships law hopefuls. He wed Lena amid cheers. Book Suburban Tyrants Unmasked, bestseller. Sparking reforms. Congress testified. States tightened HOA laws. Neighborhood thrived. Potlucks. Parks. No fear. But here's the question that lingers. Folks, in a world of absurd rules and power-hungry Karens, is it really the rule breakers who are wrong? Or the ones enforcing nonsense to hide their own rot? True or false? Drop your take below, and let's debate who the real villain is in suburbia.